Ever feel like you're selling the wrong thing? Or like it's just kind of hard to come up with ideas of like what to do? In this video, we're going to use AI to build a complete business model and a brand. I know it sounds ridiculous. Like obviously it requires some common sense, but this is really cool because in this video, I'm going to give you this super awesome prompt that you can use that'll like extract all these cool ideas from your head and basically tell you what you should be selling based on what you like to do and the most value that you can create in the world. And then it'll even create content for you that brings in your ideal customers and stuff. I know, pretty cool. So let's get to it. All right, the tool we're using is called ojoy.ai, and within that tool, there's this thing called Project Shepherd. So first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to tell it, hey, follow the directions of the prompt that I'm about to give you to the letter. Okay, that was easy enough. Now I'll paste this big old prompt in here. Don't worry, you can have it. The link to it will be in the... So I pasted the giant prompt in here. All right, now what it's going to do is it's going to find out like what you actually like to do, who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with, what you don't like to do. And it's going to see if like there's a market for it. It's going to give you some business model recommendations. And if you like them, then it's going to start building your brand identity for you, and it'll even end up creating content. This is cool. So the first thing I'll do is I'm just going to answer the question. So the way you use Project Shepherd and any of the Ojoy tools is you just talk to it. So I'm going to pretend that instead of being a marketing dude, I'm a yoga person, which I know is ridiculous. All right, here we go. I like doing yoga. I'm really good at it, and I like helping other people learn yoga. I like to work with people in their 40s through 60s because I think it'll really help them. And I'm also kind of old and probably couldn't keep up with younger people. All right, we're a couple seconds in and it's asked me these questions. Now, of course, I'm making stuff up here. So I don't really like doing yoga, but I, just wanted to show you a random example. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Who do you want to work with? And then I've answered it, people in their 40s through 60s, because I'm old and I can't keep up with the younger people. And now it's going to ask me who I want to avoid working with. So this is the kind of stuff it's going to extract from you so you can like figure out based on what you like, what you should be selling. I'll keep going so I won't put you to sleep. Okay, cool. So I'm like another 20 seconds have passed and I've answered these questions and it's asking me like, okay, what kind of benefits do you like help them with? Like, when you're doing this mandatory yoga instruction for people. So I told it, and now this is cool. It's basically saying, okay, well, like how specifically are you going to do this? Meaning like, am I going to teach, in person how to knock over your water bottle on camera classes, or am I going to do like group coaching, or do I want to do a course or whatever? So I'll go ahead and answer it. I do kind of want to show you the way the thing thinks though, because it's important, right? Like you don't want something to recommend that you do stuff you don't want to do, right? So off we go. All right, this is cool. So like this is another 5 seconds in here, but it was asking me, like how do I specifically help people? And of course, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I kind of listed rambling things that I thought might be real. And in this, I listed like, okay, I could do in-person stuff, but it would be weird if it was just me and one other person. I would prefer it to be like a family or husband and wife or something socially awkward. And I told it I don't have like a commercial building or something, so I can't do, group yoga classes. And I was like, I don't think I could do it over Zoom. And then it was asking like in this question, do you have a special type of yoga or anything? Which I don't know a thing about yoga. So I'm just like, I don't know, just yoga for older people and stuff. And I think the biggest benefit is if they went to a real yoga class, they might be embarrassed or they might get hurt. I know I would. I'm 53. If you put me in a real yoga class or something, I'd probably break something. So anyway, this is cool because it's like, all right, it sort of validates the idea to a degree. But then it asks this other question that's really important. And this is the type of thing that if you don't clarify this whenever you're planning anything, you can end up being totally miserable and doing stuff that you hate doing. And the question is, what are some things that you don't want to do? So I'm going to answer that one real quick. All right, I want you to pay attention to the answer I gave it. And like, I just talked to this thing, right? I just hit the like microphone button and it just transcribes what I'm saying. But I'm over here saying, I don't want to do massage therapy. And I'm essentially just rambling. Okay. And this tool just takes the rambling and it just works with it. So you don't have to type anything which is great, So the best part here, I think, of this, which is hilarious, is I don't want to do anything weird. I don't really know how to phrase that, but I don't want to do anything inappropriate with these folks. Now, this is another very, very good question, which regardless of what tool you're using or how you're approaching this, is to like really get honest with yourself about whether or not you can do a good job in the thing that you're wanting to sell, whether it's a service or, a product or whatever. So I'll go ahead and answer this thing and I'll make stuff up because again, I know nothing about yoga. All right. So I've answered some more of these questions, and this is a really good little thing that I programmed into this giant prompt I'm giving you. And that is like, just to make sure that people actually pay for the thing that you may or may not want to end up selling. So saying, hey, does the market already pay other people to solve these problems? If so, how much? And it's asking me like, because I'm just telling it like I don't have a yoga studio. I'm just pretending. I would just do private yoga instruction, I guess. So what I'll do real quick is I'll look for that answer and I can figure it out over here in Ojoy. So in Ojoy, there's this tool and it's called Fact Finder, and we can research stuff and it'll actually like give us the source links and everything. So check this out. I need to find out what a high-end private yoga instructor can realistically expect to charge. And I need you to get that data for me from credible sources, not something just random. And I'm specifically looking for yoga instructors that help people between the ages of 40 and 60. One-on-one private lessons, not group sessions or anything like that. And please include your source material for me. So what this will do, because like, I don't know, right? If there's a market for it or not. And even if I think I know, what my opinion is, like means nothing. Like everything should be investigated and validated. So what this will do is it'll go out and it'll find the actual answers for me, which is pretty good. And it did this full report for me. It doesn't go like all crazy, like ChatGPT deep dive or anything. I just want to know like, and with the sources I can actually verify what someone could expect to make. And man, it's depending on where you are, especially targeting that 40 to 60-year-old demographic, make up to $256. So that's pretty cool. So now I can go back over here to my other chat and I can tell it, yeah, it's usually between around $125 and $250 per hour for a private session. And that happens to be accurate and true, which is good. So we don't want to live in fantasy land or anything when you're trying to come up with an idea of what to sell. I know there's a lot of stuff like, hey, George, high ticket for anything, but if you want to knock yourself out. But I would prefer to base everything on reality. It tends to work out a little bit better. And so all I did was I answered those questions, and it's telling me all of these various business models that might work based on what I want to do in this imaginary, completely idiotic yoga instructor scenario here. So we got private yoga sessions for couples. So $150 to $200 per session. That makes pretty good sense to me. $200 a session. People spend more than that on getting their hair did. Obviously I don't, but other folks do. 8-week transformation program could be cool. I don't know. And some sort of signature method that's a little bit higher ticket. But going, based on this imaginary scenario where I'm just some dude and I don't have a building or a place to do retreats, I would do this one. All right. So let's now continue and have it help me with the branding and with the content that I would need to generate these clients. Because, hey, man, 5 customers, if you see them every week, that's an extra $1,000 a week for 5 hours of work. Not too bad, especially if you like doing yoga. So I will say I like number 1. So there we go. Just type in the letter 1 there. The number 1. So now that we figured out what to sell, now we're going to figure out exactly who to sell it to. And then that will lead us into what kind of content to make to attract those people, which is awesome. Remember, we're just in one singular session here, which is great. I'll take this question, which is think about the type of people that you want, and I will just randomly ramble into the mic here, but I won't make you watch it. All right, here's how cool this is. I just want to show you excerpts from my answer because it's hilarious, all right? Okay, so I don't want them to be skeptical of yoga. They don't have to be raving yoga fans or whatever. They need to be pleasant to work with. I don't want them to be weird. looking for something other than yoga instruction, if you know what I mean. And I wanted to have nice homes. We could even do it outside, but I don't want to go to a trailer park or something and be very cramped with a strange couple doing weird yoga poses. So what's amazing about Ojoy is it was built for me personally, and then I decided to share it with the rest of the world. But like, you can just ramble like a total redneck weirdo, and it understands what you're talking about, which is great. So we'll move on here, and I'll address what the audience wants now, because ultimately what we're doing is we know what we're going to sell. Now we got to build the content and the brand that attracts them. So we need to always be talking about what they want and how they get it. So I'll answer this question real quick. And then it comes over here, and this is really cool, which is, and this is where your branding starts getting established, which is how can you disrupt the category? So it's asking me, hey, you know, what's different? What would you say that's like kind of contrarian? And I'll go ahead and answer the question, which is if you try to do yoga like a 20-year-old at age 50, you're going to hurt yourself, probably. Yeah. So I'll answer that. So we're done with this second phase now. It's given me like a summary here. Like, so here's my brand positioning statement. I help affluent couples in their 50s eliminate back pain, reduce blood pressure, and regain their vitality. Now we can make all this stuff sound cooler. Right now, we just want to get the basics out. So we've got our brand name if we want to. I like this one, personalized healing yoga, pretty solid. Of course, I'm not a yoga person, so no idea what I'm talking about on that front. And now it's giving me like content themes that I should own. All right. And so this is like for branding purposes, like, hey, group yoga classes are dangerous for people over 40, which as a person who's 53, like, man, if I went to a group yoga class and tried to keep up with them, I'd probably break something. Yoga as a medicine and not an exercise, the back pain solution they don't teach in studios, talking about personalization, which is true. I actually have back pain. And like, if you don't understand the root cause of the symptom and you're trying to do all this stuff without knowing what's making the pain occur in the first place, you could mess up the symptom even worse. So that's pretty cool. So this is like giving us a big picture of the brand positioning. So now we're going to like learn more about how our audience thinks, and then we're going to start creating content that brings them to us for our imaginary and increasingly more and more ridiculous personalized yoga service. So now that it feels like it's gotten, you know, a lot of data from me and all kinds of cool stuff about me and what, and most importantly, you know, the audience and who we want to serve, now it's asking, okay, well, you know, what's the easiest type of content for you to create? And for me, I don't know, I would say how to and reporting. And the reason it's asking this is because this is going to help us make content, but we don't want it to be telling us to make content that is not fun for us to make. You know, like if it was stories or something, like I don't have any personal experience with yoga stuff, that would be dumb. And the follow-up question is really good. Like, okay, which area should you focus on more? Which energizes you more? And just probably because I don't know anything about yoga, I'm thinking the reporting focus, or I'm just educating them by just giving them tips instead of like doing yoga on camera or something. Could you imagine how awful that would be for someone to watch me doing yoga on camera? I apologize for the visual. Anyway, I'll just say reporting focus. So what it's given us now is telling us all about who our audience is. So earlier it told us like, okay, here's your general branding guide. You know, this is your elevator pitch. This is what you do. It even gave us kind of like an idea for a name of what to do. And now it's like going deep on our audience psychology, which is crazy cool. So here's who our audience is: affluent couples in their 50s dealing with pain, fatigue, and declining vitality, who are afraid of looking foolish or being judged. That's why they're not going to yoga classes. They're experiencing an identity shift from strong and capable to old and potentially burdensome. Now, it's not making this up. It's based everything on the way I answered the questions that it asked me about this imaginary market that I'm serving as a yoga teacher. And so here are their core emotional drivers and pain points. And here are things that they would often be saying, whether it's to others or to themselves, which is cool. And then it's even broken it down into audience subtypes, like the skeptical husband. The husband's like in bad shape. The wife's trying to get him to get it together, but he's like, you know, or whatever. Or the motivated wife who's dealing with the skeptical husband, or the committed couple. Why is there no skeptical wife there? Probably because women are smarter and they generally know how to take better care of themselves because they're smarter people. Yeah. And I don't care if that gets me canceled. I hereby stand by that statement. Anyway, It's also saying my primary mode for making content is reporting, teaching them stuff as opposed to doing yoga on camera, which is great. And now it's asking me if I want to move to the content planning stage. It's going to give me 20 content ideas. And I'm going to say yes. So this gets really cool. So it's giving me these ideas. I'm going to pick 5. It wants us to pick 5. All right. That one's okay. This one, if this were a true story, this would be a great one. All right. So I'm just going to type 2 because it wants me to pick 5 of them. So number 2, what doctors won't tell you. Let's say I like that one too. Was that number 3? Why yoga studios don't want people over 50. I don't know if that's true, so I don't want to be saying that. The real reason your back pain gets worse after yoga class, we'll choose that one. I'm assuming that there's some data to back that up. There probably is. I like that one. 6, what I wish I'd known before my first and last yoga class. 7, now remember our whole brand positioning is like, hey, group classes are not for people in their 50s with pain because it could hurt you, right? So that's why I'm choosing these. Okay. I think 8 is probably a good one. The yoga industry's dirty secret about older students. So I've chosen 5, I think. So, yep. Math is not an exact science. There we go. Okay. So now it should be outlining these for me. This is so awesome. So it's outlined the content for me. So that, like, we want it to write it, but it's kind of given me the big picture thing here. So this is the rough idea, right? So here's our little hook here, the $200 yoga class. Here's the setup, why I went to yoga. Here's what happened. It was bad. Here's the big lesson, why this happens to people over 40. Here's what you should do instead. And then we've got a little bit of a call to action there. So that's 1, what doctors don't tell you about normal aging and back pain. So these are all like great. Of course, I don't know anything about yoga, so, it could be completely ridiculous. It's basing this on the stuff I told it, by the way. So if anyone who's into yoga is like, actually, this is factually wrong, it's because I gave it factually wrong answers. So let's just tell it to make one based on number 5. And holy crap, dude, this is actually really good. So this is great. I like the way it's written. Incidentally, within this gigantic prompt that I'll give you, it's got writing guide and style guidelines. That's why it wrote like this. And of course, Ojoy.ai was built for me, so it kind of writes like me to begin with, but less obnoxious. And you can change it to make it write however you want to. So yeah, I like this, and this is pretty sweet. So I'm just going to tell it, yeah, format this thing better for social media by breaking up the sentences and giving me line breaks, and also use emojis where appropriate. Okay, cool. So here's the post. So we would just get us a nice little graphic or something, The actual graphic for the post could be this headline, believe it or not, because this is a good hook right here, I think, for a social post. You could also just read this out loud into a camera, and it would be a video. But now we know exactly what to sell, which is these personalized yoga classes, right? Because in our imaginary situation, yoga person, but I don't have a studio, and I don't want to do group classes. So we know what to sell. We know who our market is. We know all their pain points. We know all of our brand positioning. And now we know exactly what to say in our content to get the right people coming to us to become customers. And that's how AI can help you build a business and a brand really, really fast. The tool that I'm using is called Ojoy.ai, Ojoy.ai, and you can try it free. If you want to, for 7 days, just head on over there and take a free trial. And I'll put a link to this giant prompt for you in the comments below so you can get the prompt that actually powered this entire journey. All right, I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and take it easy.